Okay.
Okay, so we're going to do a quick video here on how to get started on drums. Back in the late 80s and 90s, I taught drums. I had a small music studio where I taught guitar, drums, bass, keyboard, lots of recording stuff. I had probably like $50,000 of recording equipment. And I remember reading an article that said a lot of the songs back in the 60s, all the early rock and roll, some of the songs were actually recorded with boxes instead of drums. Some popular bands too. I'm not going to name the names because I don't remember for sure. It's been 30 years since I read the article, but some of the most famous bands use boxes in the studio to record drums. So what I'm after here, if you're thinking about getting started, set of drums really expensive. You can go out and buy a cheap set, a couple $100 or so, but for a better set, you're talking, 500 plus one cymbal alone, $100 or two, So it adds up, cymbals and foot pedals, and just one foot pedal costs as much as a guitar. So what you could do is get started with boxes. I know it seems silly, but start with boxes. See if you like it. Then if you really like it, then start buying the parts. When I bought all that recording gear, I never really added up the dollar amount, but there was a lot. Okay, it was 3 cafeteria tables full of equipment stacked high, and I bought it all used. I didn't pay full price. You can do the same thing with drums. That was before eBay, before Craigslist. I'd get in the magazines, the music magazines, and find the companies in New York City that sold used gear. These days it's real easy. Just get on eBay, find a used set of drums. But this way you can find out if you like it before you go out and spend the money. That's what we're after here. So, boxes. I just threw this together real quick. I didn't put a lot of thought into it. Think of this one as your snare. The snare should rattle a little bit. I don't know what you could do to make it rattle. Like, you put some marbles in it or something, some chain. Tie a couple pieces of chain down below there if you're interested, or you can tie some chain around it and it might rattle. Let's see if we got some chain here. You like this? See, now it rattles. It just depends on how much you want to get carried away. And then, so snare should be high sound. 2 tom-toms up here, high, low, and then a big tom-tom even lower. So like these 2 could probably be changed around, because you want high, medium, and low. High, medium, and low. See that? High, medium, low. So it would be 4 here, 4 here, 4 here. If you buy books, they'll start you out like this, but that's kind of like an old-fashioned way. There's nothing wrong with just playing straight-handed. There's nothing wrong with that just to get started. Worry about this stuff later, but for for rock and roll drums, you know, this type is for rock and roll drums. This type of thing is fine. You can go out, buy a set of cheap drumsticks for under 10 bucks, but you can also just cut a set of broomsticks. Here again, I read an article. Lots of big heavy metal bands use broomsticks because drumsticks aren't thick enough, you know, and they bust them. So they would just use broomsticks. So these are, let's see, 12 and 4. What's that? That's 16 inches. 12 and 4. Okay. I got these taped up. I tape them up when they're new, so I don't break them. Because what happens is, like when you're playing drums, you'll hit the edge of the drum and, you know, the steel rim, and you break them. You know. Okay, so hopefully you know a little bit about drums, but like think of this as your hi-hat. Right? And you can experiment with different pans. See, that one sounds more like a cowbell. First drum set my parents bought, we actually had a cowbell here. Or that sounds more like a wood block. You know, it was just a piece of wood about the size of a 2x4. So you could actually just use a piece of wood, a piece of 2x4. You can try different pans. That one's kind of loud. That one sounds like the cowbell. You know, we had first set of drums had a cowbell, wood block. Okay, so after you get set up, you know, there's basic beats. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. On 3, hit this one. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? So if we were going to put that on paper, you don't need to know the paper, but when you start getting into the harder beats, it's nice to know this stuff. Let's see, I think there's 5 lines on the music staff. Okay, so this would be the hi-hat. So hi-hat is usually just marked as an X. And then I think they put the snare here. You know, it's been like 30 years since I looked at this stuff. So the snare would be here. So don't hold me to the way I write this. It's been a while since I looked at it. So that would be the snare. Hi-hat, snare. Snare is the one that rattles. So, let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And then with your foot should be going